All right, we're going to talk about MVX Plus. This is a new blood test that came out January 6th of 2025. And this test is like looking inside your body,
We're gonna talk about
like as
MVX
if it's
Plus.
a
This is a
crystal
new
ball. Blood test that came out January 6th of 2025. And so I'm getting my audio going correctly here. All right, I'm going live on TikTok also. So basically, we have now we're all set. So I'm going to talk about how a simple and inexpensive blood test can measure, guide, and track the 6 most important factors of your health, saving you from unneeded medicines, distractions, scams, confusions, and wasted effort in improving your health. So it's a big statement. And I've been in healthcare. I started studying nutrition in 1993 on my own, and I started practicing it in 1998. I'm a chiropractor. I graduated in 1997. I quit taking insurance in 2005, and that's a big deal because I I'm in the free market, and I think insurance is socialism by proxy, meaning insurance companies they control you. When they have your money, it's called third party money. So it's not owned by anyone; it's owned by a collective. And just like the government has their third party money, you have your first party money. So you spend your money better, well, hopefully, better than the government spends your money. So I'm in the free market. I have to get people better. If I don't get them better, why would they come and see me? Everybody already has insurance. As a matter of fact, during the Obama era, you were penalized if you didn't have insurance. So everybody had insurance, but I still survived that as a free market healthcare provider. And as a matter of fact, we've seen 60,000 patient visits in the last 5 years, and I've seen personally tens of thousands of patients in my career. But the point is, how do we get people better? The cheapest, fastest way possible and most effective way possible. And when I was in school, I decided it was nutrition. I mean, that's the most fundamental aspect of healthcare. And I see holistic doctors talking about problems in our health, such as mitochondrial dysfunction, and the solution is diet. And that's true. It's very true. I'm a big fan of the diet, and it is step one in my 7-step blueprint to optimal health. And there are other steps. There's 6 other steps. And so, looking at the screen here, sorry on TikTok you can't see this. Hey, thank you. Holistic Dragon, thank you. This is my 7-step blueprint to optimal health. Right there. So diet is step one. So just watching Paul Saladino, the carnivore doctor. I love him. He's in Costa Rica, so that he can eat fresh fruit, and he eats raw glands, animal glands, and lots of meat every day. And he's talking about a therapy for enhancing mitochondrial function called methylene blue. And he says if you want to, usually mitochondria don't work well because they're toxic, and you got to clean that up by eating meat. And it's like, no, that's not it. That's not how you detoxify the body. You can't just eat meat and expect to get cleaned out. There are particular supplements that do that, and that's the thing about, like, in my career, I'm all about supplements, diet and supplements. As a matter of fact, those are the two tools. Those are the only two tools that I work with to get people better. Diet, supplements. That's it. No drugs, no needles, no oxygen, no hyperbaric oxygen therapy, no ozone. I don't use methylene blue. I think there's better supplements than that for mitochondria. I know there are better supplements than that for mitochondria. Um, no shots, no drugs, no over-the-counter drugs, no prescription drugs. My whole career, it's just been diet and supplements. And so I've been diving into a subject. I dive into the keto diet, carnivore diet, iodine, vitamin D, detoxing, parasites, virus, you know, you name it. I would dive into it in the last 25 years and learn all about it and see what good we can get from it, and then add that to the collection of tools. And if it didn't work, I wouldn't add it to the collection. So I've gotten rid of, I don't know how many hundreds of supplements. Currently, we carry 800 supplements in the office. And when patients come and see us, we give them, the top 3 best that they need. And their program initially starts small at 3, and then it grows, and then it gets smaller again. So people come in and they're like, well, what about, I want vitamin D, I want vitamin C, I want iodine, I want quercetin, I want, rhodiola, I want berberine, and they want everything. And I have to stop them and say, whoa, whoa, slow down. You don't need all that stuff. Number one, it's very expensive. Number two, you just don't need it. And number three, if you do need it, when? Do you need it right now? Or do you need it after you get all the parasites out? Or do you need it after you change your diet? Or do you need it before you take heavy metal detox products? So the question is when. So that's one of the questions. So I'm going to repeat this title. I typed this up yesterday, but how a simple and inexpensive blood test that's called MVX Plus can measure, guide, and track the 6 most important factors of your health, saving you from unneeded medicines, distractions, scams, confusions, and wasted effort in improving your health. And I think I can see comments here. Yeah, here we go. I got comments going on. All right, cool. Dr. Terry Wallace says diet helps mitochondria. That's true. I say it too. But in order to detox, yeah, I'm more about actually detoxing. There's supplements for detoxing. And I think the ketogenic diet is the basis of detoxing. But if you really want to detox, you got to take supplements for that. Or EDTA chelation, where we put the IV in your arm, costs a couple $100. And I've seen that not work, though. I've seen where your live is flagged for misinformation, repeated violations could result in your live being discontinued. Oh, so TikTok just flagged me for misinformation. I don't know what I said. Oh my God. That's TikTok. TikTok flagged me just now. So yeah, I had 2 videos taken down in the last 2 months on TikTok, and if I get one more flag on TikTok, they're gonna take down my whole account. I got like 66,000 followers on TikTok. God, what the hell? Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. Sorry, take that away. All right, what the heck? All right, so let's keep going, and hopefully they don't flag me again. Now, there's a mechanism in the body that it's called lactic acidosis, and this mechanism was well known in the 1930s. If you look behind me, I got a bunch of old books, textbooks of medicine and nutrition, and all the doctors of medicine and students of medicine, they all studied lactic acidosis. That's this mechanism, and it occurs in the mitochondria. And basically, it means that you're eating too much sugar or carbohydrates, and then you end up with too much lactate and acid, therefore lactic acidosis. And it's a mechanism. And during that time, in the 1930s, they tried to fix it by adding minerals, which didn't fix it. And they tried to fix it by adding B vitamins, especially B1, which helps, definitely helps, but they didn't really address the diet. And at that time, just picture white bread. In 1931 and 32 was only starch. There was no vitamins added. As a matter of fact, there were no vitamins, period. They didn't invent the first vitamin until 1934, and that was vitamin B1. So they added B1 to bread, and then it reversed beriberi, which is a form of heart disease and neurological. It's a neurological disorder also. It can affect respiration, trouble breathing, swollen ankles, water in the lungs, all kinds of stuff like that. So the B1 was added in 1934, and it revolutionized health at the time. Within 10 weeks, people were surviving and reversing their heart disease, including like 10-year-old boys. So yeah, B1 deficiency during the Great Depression was rampant because people didn't have enough money for produce or meat, so they're given white bread. And again, it was all starch. There was no nutrition value to it whatsoever. So anyways, I say that because these books talk about lactic acidosis as a mechanism. So in 2016, I had terrible health from a black mold toxicity exposure. It actually had been occurring for 13 years in my office, in my old office. And I didn't know I had mold. I didn't know it. And I just felt terrible. And I was going to see all these doctors. I saw my cardiologist. He's no longer my cardiologist, but I saw this cardiologist. He's holistic. I saw a bunch of holistic chiropractors. I saw other regular medical doctors. I got 4 EKGs that year, 2016. And it's like, why does my heart hurt so badly? And nobody had any answers. And then I read a page in one of these books talking about lactic acidosis, and it described the symptoms. And I'm like, oh, that's me. This mechanism is what I have. So what's the cause? Well, again, I didn't know it until like 8 or 9 months later, but I still could address the mechanism with a supplement made in 1934 um, called Cataplex B. The original recipe is still, it's fantastic. It's given by or made by a company called Standard Process, one of my favorite supplement companies. And so actually they had five supplements. And actually the primary one is now called Cataplex B2. It used to be called Cataplex G. But Cataplex B2, Cardio Plus, Ceruta, these are all supplements from Standard Process. I took them in February of 2016. And within a few hours, I was feeling better. So the that's like a revolutionary thing to know that there's this mechanism, and that you have to fix the mechanism. You can't just fix the cause or address the symptoms. And I have a graphic here I can show you for not on TikTok. I'm sorry, but where'd it go? Lactic acidosis, ApoB. Is this it? No, that's not it. Oh boy, MVX. I thought I had this all straightened up. I don't have it so easily read. Oh, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, that's it. So if you're looking on the screen, sorry TikTok, you don't see this. But there's 3 circles. The first one says causes. The second one is mechanisms, and the third one is symptoms. So in order to get healthy, you have to address all 3 of those circles. So there are 3 major causes of chronic disease. One is pathogens, another one is excess sugar, and the third one is toxins. And it's pretty simple to say that those 3 things cause most chronic disease, and you name it. The major killers of Western civilization. I might say it and then get flagged for misinformation by TikTok again. And then I wrote the mechanism is lactic acidosis. And then I have the symptoms there at the end. The way you get rid of symptoms is you feed the organs that are causing the symptoms. So the heart gives you certain symptoms, and the brain gives you certain symptoms, and the lymphatic system gives you certain symptoms. So you have to address those organs specifically with nutrition. And in my career, I have, like I said, 800 supplements. And when you look at these different supplement companies, they have specific supplements for organs and or systems. So the brain, the lymphatic system, nervous system, heart, circulatory, muscular, bones. So that's how you get rid of symptoms. But if you don't address the mechanism and you don't address the causes, then you're just spinning your wheels. You have to address all 3. So this is revolutionary for me to figure this out. Now, I did not figure this out myself. I read this from the 1930s. These 3 factors come from the founders of medicine back then, Dr. Otto Warburg, the father of physiology, Dr. Roy Lee, the father of holistic nutrition, and Dr. Otto Warburg, I said that, and then Dr., oh boy, they slipped my mind. There's like 2 others. Dr. Weston A. Price would say something like this. There's one other one too. Oh, the father of endocrinology, Dr. Henry Harrower. They all said this in different ways. And I was quoting them in my lectures as I lectured to doctors. And it's like, wait a minute, he said this and he said that and this guy said that. They're all saying the same thing, just in different ways. So that's pretty phenomenal to know the history. If you don't know your history, then you don't know your future, basically. So I had that mold exposure in 2016, and then I had the gas leak at my house all of last year, 2024. Terrible gas leak. It'll kill you. And it was outside my living room window, and it would blow in through the with the wind as the wind blows west to east down this hallway into these bedrooms in my house. And I would sit at my kitchen table in the mornings, starting typing, on my laptop, and within 10 minutes I couldn't breathe. And I would stand up and pace around and start breathing, trying to breathe. It's because it was the gas leak, and the smell wasn't strong enough. Like, nobody ever said, "Oh, your house smells like gas." Nobody ever said that. So, but it was just enough to, when you're in it for 8 hours or 10 hours and you have a hard time breathing. And it sent me to the hospital in May of last year with crushing chest pain, 8 out of 10 crushing chest pain from a gas leak, high blood pressure, couldn't breathe, cold, just deadly symptoms. So, anyways, back to um, this. I'm going to show you this graphic right here, 7-step blueprint to optimal health. So the point is, in all my studies and my personal experiences with myself and my patients, tens of thousands of patients, I created the 7-step blueprint to optimal health. And this blood test came out in January, and it matches up with this. So we got step 1 is diet, step 2 is increasing energy in the mitochondria, and which is where your body makes energy. And step 3 is drainage. That means your liver, kidneys, lymphatic system, lungs, sinuses, bowels need to work well. These are the organs that excrete stuff out of your body. And if they don't work very well, then don't start detoxing. You got to get those organs working well. Then you start detoxing. Okay, so then step 4 is fix the gut. And I hear this from holistic medical doctors who I appreciate and love. They say, oh, you got to fix the gut, fix the gut. Well, yeah, that's step 4. Don't forget step 3 and 5 and 6 and 2 and 8 or 7. Okay, yeah, fix the gut in step 4. And then step 5 is get rid of all the other organisms from head to toe, including parasites. And they could be in your joints. They could be in your brain. They could be in your nose, sinuses. One time I had a guy, he flew up from Texas to see me. And I do muscle testing to figure out what people need, which is a biofeedback process. It's like your body's telling you what it needs. And I found parasites in his brain back here. And so he flew home, and then months go by. And there's this product that was released months later, and it's called Para 3 from a company called Cellcore. And this Para 3 is the most, in my opinion, the most powerful anti-parasitic supplement on planet Earth. I could be wrong. I've never been to India or somewhere else where they may have more powerful products. But he started taking it. He didn't tell me. He just started taking it. And he said that he pulled parasites out of his nose, 10 to 20 parasites a day for 3 to 4 weeks. About this big. They're fat in the center and thin on the edges or at the ends. I'm going to say it again. 10 to 20 parasites out of his nose every day for 3 to 4 weeks. And he just was pulling them out. Oh, man, I have an amazing video, too. Maybe one of these days I can share it. Where this girl pulled a parasite out of her nose. It was this long. Looked like an earthworm. It's pretty amazing. So, I'm sorry, I'm not reading through the comments. I'll have to get there. I know you guys have great comments and great questions. That's been my experience with my followers, smart people. I appreciate that. I like smart people. It makes me feel smarter when I'm around smart people. All right, so that's step 5. Step 6 is detox. And I wrote powerful detoxification. So not just like, oh, I'm taking green tea or I'm drinking green tea. Like that's not detox. Or taking cilantro. Not detox. And even like glutathione and N-acetylcysteine. It's a start, but it's not powerful. So I have binders from Cellcore that I really like. And when people take these binders, man, their bowels smell horrible. Their urine's got a funky smell. They got like garlic and onion smells coming out of their armpits and their breath, and they taste metal in their mouth. Like they know they're detoxing. And then you can run lab tests before and after. Step 7 is getting rid of organisms that are inside the cells and getting rid of toxins inside the cells too. And how do you do that? Herbs. Herbs are intelligent. It's almost like they have their own IQ. Herbs will kill off bad organisms and feed good organisms. Herbs will make your machinery inside your cells work better to clean out. So, yeah, that's step 7. And then the last step is O. That means optimization. And so really there's 8 steps, but let's just say O can be done anywhere along those 7 steps. So you're adding minerals, you're adding glandulars or herbs or other nutritional supplements for any organ anywhere. Optimizing your health. That's what that means. So, yeah, thanks. Thanks for the thumbs up and all that. So anyways, I found out about this incredible MVX Plus test right here. Look, this is on YouTube, and it says, is MVX the new frontier in predicting all-cause mortality? And this is from Dr. William Cromwell, May of 2024. I've watched this video now 10 times. It's 46 minutes long. It's super technical, and it's an amazing video. But the MVX Plus test is what he's talking about. And he says that, and there are 6 factors in MVX Plus, and from these 6 factors grows mortality. Like, mortality occurs because these 6 factors are. Can you show us your muscle testing? I don't have anybody here right now, but yeah, maybe someday. So these 6 factors, when they're not good, when they're too high or too low, you're headed towards death. You're not doing good. Your body's falling apart biochemically inside, biochemically, physiologically inside. And you can look good. You can be an athlete. You could be running down the road with high VO2 max, very fit, strong lungs, strong heart, and you have a heart attack and you're dead on the side of the road. That can happen. How do you predict that? You have to run MVX Plus, right? Or you could be really sick, chronic fatigue, feel horrible, and you live for 40 years in the same state, because there are factors in your body that are not causing you to die, but they're causing you to be sick, right? And there's risk factors that do not cause you to die, but they cause you to be sick. And there's things that can cause you to die and they cause no symptoms. But the bottom line is, everybody who dies from chronic illness has one thing in common. I'm going to say it again. Every single person that dies from chronic illness has one thing in common. Their biochemistry and physiology inside their body is messed up. It's every single 100% of the time, right? And so what are those factors? What's messed up? It's the 6 factors in MVX. And this has been studied and known. It's been studied on 30,000 people at the National Institute of Health over many years. Yeah, that's how. And so when this test was released, the people that released it and the people that made it, they have no idea what they made. And I've talked to 2 of them, and they have no idea how powerful how powerful it is. So I'm going to show you mine. This is my first one. All right. Okay. So my first score when I took this was 55. And if you're watching my screen, you can see it right there at the very top, 55. And at the time I had a gas leak, or I'm sorry, I had shut the gas leak off 1 month earlier. And I wasn't feeling good at all. Like, it was so bad in May of last year, I went to the hospital. And here it is, January 13th of 2025. I still had lung pain, heart pain. My muscles were still weak. My nervous system was still messed up. Do I have any financial benefits to MVX? Yeah, when a patient orders MVX, there's always an upcharge. That's just across the industry. But otherwise, I don't own the patent to it. There's no multi-level marketing with MVX. I have no correlation with LabCorp that runs MVX. So anyway, so my score is 55. And then I'll show you what that means. Right here, let me get rid of this one. You can look at the score at the bottom, okay, like right there, drop down all the way down to 55. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but my chance of dying in 5 years was at 20%. And then 4 weeks later, my score was 31. It dropped 24 points right here at 31. Maybe I can, let me see right here. 31. Okay. So I saved my life by not breathing in gas for 4 weeks. All right, cool. So now I'm going to get rid of that one and show you my next one. So then March 11th, I redid it, and this time I had a sinus infection, and my score is 39 right there. So it went up from 31 to 39. So I got rid of the sinus infection, and a month later, my score was 29 right there. So I dropped it 10 points because I got rid of the sinus infection. So it was high from the gas leak, lower because I fixed it, high from the sinus infection, then I fixed it, and then it went lower again. It picks up toxins and infections, which are 2 of the 3 major causes of chronic illness. The third one being sugar. Well, how do you detect that? You detect that at the bottom here. We got citrate, valine, leucine, and isoleucine. Those are malnutrition markers. So people with too much sugar, it'll mess those up, like their valine, leucine, and isoleucine will be too high, or maybe even their small HCl particle number will be too low. So I'm not going to get into all the details about how to read it, but you can. But that's and I'm figuring this out still. Like there's citrate is one of them, and like what do you do if that's too high? I'm not quite sure yet. I figured out everything else though so far. So, but the point is, look at this like this is like a crystal ball looking inside your body. Like you have toxins, get rid of them. You have infections, get rid of them. You have you're B1 deficient, it shows up with this test. You're eating too many carbs, it shows up with this test. Inflammation shows up in this test. You have to do some extra testing and find that out. But it's there. It's right there. So I tuned in so that I could learn how to read it. Sorry. So I'm not going to teach you all the details about. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. It's 49 slides on how to read it, and I'm really like geared towards doctors. It gets pretty technical, and I will make a course on this for non-doctors. Okay, but I appreciate that, VK. Yeah. How does one lower? Eddie Fu says, how does one lower inflammation vulnerability? The way you do that is by primarily, sorry, I'm distracted by the comments. Primarily by taking lumbrokinase, which reduces fibrin. Okay. And fibrin is the basis of clotting, plaquing, slow fluid movement, scarring, and inflammation, and mucus, biofilm. Now, also, you can have, so organisms make inflammation. They make mucus. And they release chemicals, and the chemicals can burn, right? Ammonia. Organisms release ammonia, which is very high pH, like 11.5, and that kind of melts tissue. It's really a weird thing to say, but high pH ammonia is melty. It's like melty. And so when people are really sick, it's like, their tissues kind of melt away, right? Right? There's different ways that the body tissues kind of fall apart. You can have cancerous tumors grow, or you can have cancer eat away, right? Where there's a void in your body. Or you can have like tissues getting really stiff and hard, and then they can't breathe, like sarcoidosis. Or you can have tissues start to melt away, and people get sprained ankles too easily initially, and then they, too many fluids and stuff. Dr. Darren, Holistic Dragon, I wrote my book. When are you going to write your book? Here's my book. It's on Amazon Kindle. Right there. Optimal Health. So anyways, when you look at the physiology of an anatomy of how, people do poorly with their health, I'm just saying like tissues do different things. Like they can melt away and stuff. But that answers your question about getting rid of inflammation. So, Doc Tom, would Cal-Imo acidify the body? Yes, Cal-Imo acidifies the body. And it's a good thing that Cal-Imo does. So people say, oh, you need to go alkaline. Not necessarily true. Some people do, but some people need to be more acidic. So Doc Tom, nattokinase, lumbrokinase is better than nattokinase for reducing inflammation and reducing fibrin in the body. And there's a blood test called the hypercoagulation panel through LabCorp. And the main solution for that is lumbrokinase, but the hypercoag panel is fantastic. Revolutionary. Okay, so I'm supposed to go through the slide presentation, but your questions are always great. And I want to answer your questions that you have. Yeah, so I'm going to keep going. What else am I going to say here? Okay, so let's talk about MVX a little bit more. And I'm going to say some things about this. So I know I got some holistic practitioners watching me right now, or at least fans or patients of holistic healthcare. So think of it this way. So in my career, as a chiropractor, and I've been on YouTube since 2013. So I'm an OG on YouTube, and I've been called all the names, all the names. And there's always this, tendency for humans to appeal to authority. So like one medical doctor a few months ago said, I'm a real doctor. Like he's this guy in New York. He's like, you need to listen to me. I'm a real doctor. Oh, really? So you know more about healthcare because you're the drug pusher, or do you actually know physiology? So like I've been battered and beat up by these words, And luckily, I have the emotional capability to overcome that. But with MVX Plus, if you're a healthcare provider and you start using MVX Plus, it validates your work, and it does not validate drug pushing doctors, because there are no drugs that lower MVX. You want a lower score. So mine went from 55 to 31, right, as an example. And the 7-step blueprint will lower the score. And I know a bunch of holistic doctors that do something like the 7 steps, which is really cool. And but other holistic doctors are more allopathic. They're using supplements and diet, but they're using it allopathically, which is wrong. You don't want to like target symptoms. You have to get to the cause and fix the mechanism, and then you got to get rid of the symptoms. So, um, so if you're not lowering MVX, right, then you're not really getting somebody healthy. That's key right there. Okay, now MVX has only been out for 3 months, and I'm the only one trying to figure it out. And I think I'm like 90% there. So if you have a doctor and you run MVX Plus on yourself and you take it to your doctor, they're not going to know what the heck to do to it. They're not going to know what the heck to do with it, except for maybe you can send them to my videos. Can the test predict stroke? The test will show you high glyca, and then when you have that, then you have to take the hypercoagulation panel from LabCorp or Vascular Health. Yeah, it's the hypercoagulation panel that finds the prediction for stroke. Right. Of course, there's other regular lab tests and stuff that MDs do. So, but the other thing about this MVX Plus, it's like a whole new opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to say this, just follow me on this. So when you have regular medical testing and they do a complete blood count, they do comprehensive metabolic panel, they're looking at liver enzymes, they're looking at lipids, thyroid panel, that kind of stuff. It's all measuring disease. That is what medicine does, is measures disease. So when I tried to activate this test, I called up the NIH, I called NASA, I called this guy has a lab, Dr. William Cromwell has a lab, and I got 3 reasons why they would not turn it on. Number 1, they didn't want to be called voodoo doctors. Number 2, they're waiting for consensus. Number 3, it doesn't measure disease. And when the guy at the NIH told me that it doesn't measure disease, he didn't want to release it. I was like, wait a minute. I know it doesn't measure disease, but this is a new thing. It measures actual physiology, like what's going on inside the body. And anyways, none of them released it. And now it is released because of a company called Professional Co-op, which is a lab ordering company. They order labs for doctors, Professional Co-op, and they're awesome. Where's the test and how do I order it? The test is actually on my website, and I think I have. Do I have it on my? You're asking me these two. I wasn't gonna. I don't know. My website is thenhcaa.com. Here, I can type it in here. thenhcaa.com. There it goes. So on the front page of my website, go to the upper right corner, and it says MVX test. And anybody can order it. You don't need to be a patient. Hi, Paul. Regular docs, we want to know the negative. I know, right? Yeah, well, the doctors want to know the negative. That's what MVX shows you. It shows you the negative, but it also shows you the negative physiology, which you can then repair. And it's the physiology of the causes, infections, toxins, and then the diet. MVX shows you the 3 things that I was showing you earlier. Sorry, my girlfriend's trying to call me. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say it again. So these 6 factors of MVX show you the soil upon which mortality grows. And when you reverse those, then you're in much better shape. Okay. So I'm going to show you some cases. Oh, let me show you this. I'm going to show you this case of longevity, or this is the math on how to figure out longevity. And I'm going to go live every Sunday night, and unless I'm traveling or something. But I'm going to show the same graphs every single time. I'm going to show you the same graphics every time. And this is how people would rate longevity before MVX. So age was the biggest factor. Up to 30% of the math of figuring out your longevity was age. The second one is GFR, which is kidney disease. So chronic kidney disease is about 27% of the math of figuring out how long you're going to live. And then next is previous heart failure. Next is diabetes. Then smoking, then hypertension, and then BMI. And then we have history of coronary artery disease. And then at the very, very bottom, gender, because men die sooner than women, white ethnicity, and total cholesterol, triglycerides, high cholesterol, and then HDL cholesterol. Notice that LDL cholesterol is not even on here. There's no LDL cholesterol. And all the cardiologists, they go on and on about LDL. Like, give me a break. And it was proven last year that LDL does not cause heart disease or plaquing. Okay, so there you go. There's that graphic. Keep that in mind. I'm going to show you the next graphic. This is the new graphic measuring longevity now that we have MVX. At the very top there, you notice how MVX is like 70% of the math on how to figure out how long you're going to live. The next one is age. Then after that, everything else is like hardly showing up. Hypertension, cholesterol, BMI, kidney disease, smoking. They're like little minuscule bar graphs right there. So now picture this. So you have two 90-year-olds, and one of them is going to die in 6 months. The other one's going to die in 10 years. They're both super old. And age, people would say, oh, age is the biggest factor for determining how long you're going to live. Well, not true, because the one who's going to live 10 years has a better MVX score than the one that's going to live for 6 months. So MVX is the biggest factor for determining how long you're going to live. And again, it's not VO2 max, it's not telomere length, it's not how strong your muscles are. But it's rating like how toxic you are, how many infections, how much inflammation, and also what's your diet like. So let's show you I'm going to show you some examples of people who went through a detox program. This is a person named Camille, 57-year-old female. On the left are a bunch of symptoms, and I can blow this up and I'll read off some of these symptoms. Okay. Fatigue, very cold, always, decreased memory recall, sadness, excessive hunger, fear of not getting better, hurt, negative self-talk, bloating, chronic tingling in calves and lower legs, trouble closing hands, relying on laxatives, head inflammation, rash on torso and back, chronic inflammation, chronic body pain. That's a ton of symptoms. So how do you get rid of those? Do you take a drug for every single symptom? Well, if you're going to a doctor who's allopathic, then the answer is yeah, that's what they're going to do. But she just went on a detox program. She started taking supplements to get rid of metals, chemicals, and mycotoxins. And just notice the colors of the symptom tracker. This graphic starts on the left, and it's yellow, red, and orange. And over the course of about a year or so, it turns green. You can see that a lot of the symptoms got better, and the green is 0, 1, or 2. That means good. And then on the far left is 8, 9, and 10, and that's bad. So you just see the trend going from red to green, left to right. And this person is better because they detox. Here's another person, same thing. Look at the colors, red to green. Some of these symptoms are quote-unquote psychological. Some of them are diagnosable. Some of them are sort of difficult to pin down and get like an ICD code, like a diagnosis code or whatever. But whatever, you just clean the body out. You detox, and that's why my 7-step blueprint is primarily all about detoxing. And every doctor should just be about detoxing. There's a million medical doctors, and like how many of them detox? I don't know, probably, in the tens of thousands probably, but there's a million. Here's a person, Monica, 61-year-old female, case study, tons of symptoms on the left. I'm not going to read them all, but geez, oh Pete's. And notice the colors are red on the left, and on the right they're green. So she got a lot better over the course of a year, red to green. Like, it's just by detoxing. And what does it take to detox? You just take pills. That's it. 3 times a day, take pills. and make sure your diet's good. You're not eating processed food. Hopefully, RFK Jr. will be effective at cleaning out our ridiculous toxic diet, and it'll be easier and easier to clean up the diet. Yeah, so taking pills is super easy, right? Now here's this. What about if you have a ton of infections? Look at this test. This is called Cyrex Array 12. The name of the company is Cyrex, and the name of the lab itself is called Array 12. And so green is good, yellow is equivocal, red is bad. And so this person has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 or 10 in the red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the yellow, and the rest are green. So there's 28 total pathogens here. And then, so what do? You take, what, antibacterial, antiviral, antiparasitic? No, you don't do that. But you can't take drugs that long. You can't, they're just not that effective. Plus, you have to repair the tissues. Plus, you have to do drainage. Plus, you have to make sure the bowels are working. Plus, you have to, do all these things. You have to do the 7 steps. When you do the 7 steps, this is what happens. 9 months later, look, there's only one thing that's high. Out of the 9 red, now there's 1. There's no yellows left. It's all green. She was significantly better in just 9 months. And I showed this to a holistic doctor. And she's like, what did you do? How did you? And I was like, well, you got to do it the holistic way. And that was a horrible answer. Like, it was during a break, so we didn't have enough time to explain it. Now, this is not my patient. This is a patient of Dr. Todd Watts. He's the founder of Cellcore Biosciences. And then let me back up on these that I showed you. These are, again, not my patients. These are put together from Dr. Elena Villanueva. She's the founder of a company called Bio1 Sciences. Okay, so I'm borrowing their graphs because I just don't have the graphs for myself. I do have a few, but I didn't put them together. But the thing is, both of them have their supplement companies, so they're just showing really good before and afters with their products, as good doctors should be able to do, right? Like, I need to do this more. So, do I want to? Oh yeah. So somebody asked, where do you get the tests from? This is the front page of my website. Yeah, thenhcaa.com, and in the upper right corner it says MVX test. And so I think that's the next one. Yeah, there it is right there, MVX test. You can find it that way. $135 is the price. Okay, what's really cool about this MVX test is when it was released in February of 2023 in the research papers, right? Like, the paper itself was published February of 2023, or maybe it was January. The conclusion says, and I'm sort of repeating myself when I'm reading this conclusion to you, but the point is, it's such a new opportunity. It's so revolutionary that the more doctors that run this, the better off everybody's going to be. And it should be, MVX Plus should be part of everybody's annual physical exam, because you get your number 1 to 100. And if your score was 50, next year your score should be lower because you're working on your health. And if your score is 30 and then the next year it's 50 and it got worse, you have to find out why and fix it. And you can only fix it with supplements and diet. There's no drugs that fix it. So, implications of the available evidence. So it says, let me pull this up so I can read it better. Our results suggest that survival, meaning actually living longer, might be more dependent on previously unrecognized causal factors. So the medical doctors are saying, hey, we're not recognizing the causal factors of why people die. Right? But in the 1930s, they did know. They knew it was toxins, infections, and sugar. They knew it back then. But now they forgot. And I've said this since 2016. Like, we don't know the causes like we used to 80 years ago. Okay, so our survival is more dependent on previously recognized causal factors distinct from those responsible for development of the diseases or vulnerabilities considered to be the causes of death. So there's vulnerabilities, like, if you're like biking on a heavily trafficked highway and you're on a bicycle, that is a vulnerability. Okay. And then there's other things that are risk factors, but they're not actually a vulnerability, like for our health. So vulnerability would be infections, chronic infections, right? But Okay, so continuing, if supported by future research, which we already have the research, treating the underlying metabolic dysfunctions, which has been my career for 25 years. So treating the underlying metabolic dysfunctions of the overlapping syndromes of cachexia, sarcopenia, malnutrition, and frailty, those are the terms that were given to people who are dying. So treating the underlying metabolic dysfunctions of those things with anti-inflammatory nutritional or alternative therapies might provide greater survival benefit than targeting conventional disease risk factors. Okay, true. So conventional disease risk factor is LDL cholesterol. But it's not even part of the math to try to figure out longevity in the new or old way. LDL is not part of that math, right? So, but one of them is small HDL particles, right? And the reason why small HDL particles are more important than LDL particles is because the small HDL particles mop up the LDL particles. Okay, so there's congruity there. It makes sense. Okay, now I'm gonna show you one more thing, and is it one more thing? Oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here in my head. Yeah, here's some examples that I typed up. So you might think, I put these in quotes, like I've heard this before. My neighbor is a vegetarian and he exercises, but he still had to get 2 stents put in his blocked arteries. So that gives you an example of like this guy's trying to fix risk factors. He's a vegetarian and he's exercising. But those risk factors do not actually lead to disease. They're not actually telling you that you're going to, be healthy or not in the future. So there's plenty of people who, they have a healthy lifestyle, but they end up with heart attacks. I have a patient who his LDL has been normal for 25 years, and he had a stent put in the fall. I'm gonna say it again. His LDL has been normal for 25 years. He had a stent put in the fall. Okay, so what is his risk factor? Well, LDL cholesterol, and they put him on a statin drug. What's the point? I got a patient. He said he's been on a statin drug to lower cholesterol for 30 years. He's had 11 stents put in during that time. What's the point of taking an LDL lowering drug when you get all these stents? So he quit taking the drug. And he said there's only 10 locations where you can put a stent in, but he had all 10 locations stented, and one of them failed, so he had number 11 put in. So, and somebody else might say, my grandpa smoked all his life and he died at 90, right? Well, smoking is a risk factor, but does it really lead to death? Not always. So there's too many confusions. There's too many rules of thumb that there's exceptions to the rules of thumb. But when it comes to MVX Plus, it's 100% every time. 100%. All right, because they go deep. They go deeper than exercise. And MVX Plus, by the way, does not go lower with exercise, which there was a study done at Duke University over 8 months. They had a control group. They had low exercise, moderate exercise, and heavy exercise for 8 months. And it was insignificant to lower MVX Plus. And, and it's not part of my 7-step blueprint. Right here. Whoops, sorry. There's no exercise in my 7-step blueprint to optimal health. These guys did not, from the 30s, they didn't say, exercise and live longer. Even in the 50s, they didn't say that. But we're saying it now. But it's not true. My grandmother died at 98. She didn't exercise. She was 98. Okay, and I'm not saying don't exercise. I love exercising. I do it because it makes me feel happy. And you should too. But if you're really sick and it doesn't make you feel happy, then I've told some people don't exercise because they end up in bed for a day. Their body's not ready for exercise. Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about toxins. It has been shown that 90% of people have at least 3 chemical toxins, 70% have 1 mycotoxin from mold, and then 20 to 25% of people have heavy metals. Every time I've run a metal test or a toxic test on people, everybody's toxic, 100% of the time. On all the people that I've run, everybody. All right. So MVX then proves that natural medicine is more powerful than drug-based medicine. Now, drug-based medicine is necessary to save your life. So if you're type 1 diabetic, you need insulin. That's awesome. And if you need surgery or a transplant, medicine is awesome. If you go to the ER and they save your life, of course, that is awesome. Right? But when it comes to chronic illness, it's not awesome. And they'll give you Prozac, they'll test your thyroid, and that's kind of, and then like maybe they'll give you, I don't know, steroid. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of like chronic illness from the medical community. And the main concept here is detoxing. But medicine contributes to toxicity because they use drugs and they use, of course, surgery. But the drugs are toxic. Every single drug is toxic. Every single drug blocks or stops something or prevents something. Every single drug gives you side effects. Every single drug is toxic. And the more toxins you take, the worse off you are, period. Even though they're propping you up, they're saving your life, they're holding you up like this over whatever, how many years. As your health goes down, they just keep propping you up like that. That's medicine's treatment for chronic illness. Okay, so I think I want to hit some questions. Where do you go to get your blood drawn after paying for MVX? So if you buy MVX from my office, then we'll send you the requisition. You have to print it off, take it to LabCorp. And LabCorp is a nationwide, actually international lab, and that's where you get your blood drawn. I'm talking way too much sense now. Thumbs up, smiley face, thanks. Where does the mind and psychology come in? That's an awesome question. The ketogenic diet and carnivore diet have incredible new research coming out in the last 3 years showing people reversing even the worst psychiatric cases such as schizophrenia, bipolar, stuff like that. So eating meat is like the best thing you can do for psychiatric problems, depression, stuff like that. And then detox. So, as I have people go through the 7 steps, let me pull that up again. People change their diet step 1 and they feel better. If not, they may feel better in step 4 when they get rid of 50 parasites. And maybe not. Maybe they won't get better until step 6 when they've detoxed. So you can feel better at step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Somewhere in that 7 steps, you can feel better. But like it's not like, okay, I'm going to take quercetin and feel better, or I'm going to take methylene blue and it'll be magically, I'll be all better. No, there's all these steps right here, all 7 steps. And this is, again, even the holistic doctors, they want to know, well, what symptoms would people have that when you give them a multivitamin? It's like, no, it's not about symptoms. Stop thinking about symptoms. You just clean your body out, let the symptoms go away. So, all right. They don't have one close enough to me. Oh, sorry to hear that. Type Awakened Wellness LLC. Tell me how far away it is. How many miles or how long would it take for you to drive there? Part do, take magnesium and baking soda. I don't know I didn't read the first part. Sorry, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. My HDL is 60, Lexi, Abby. That's good. I've seen as high as 100 and 120. But I'm talking about small HDL particles, the number of small HDL particles. That's different than HDL. So the small HDL particle number is measured through NMR, which is different than when you just get your HDL measured through PCR. These are 2 different assays. So you got to get the NMR, the number of small HDL particles, and it's in MVX Plus. My doctor gave up. My herbalist gave up. T-Duck. Yeah, so, I got to look for this new opportunity. Over 100 miles, that's it? You can drive that. Sorry. My hemoglobin was 6.1. So hemoglobin A1C should be at 5.4 or lower. Yeah, 5.7 is too high. 6.1 is too high. 5.5 is too high. It's got to be 5.4 or lower. So, all right, cool. I got to call my girlfriend back. I'm sorry. She called me and I need to get back with her. So I'm going to hang up on you guys. Anyways, you can go to my website. Look out for more videos. I'll be live Sunday. I don't know. Every Sunday night, it might be 7 p.m., might be 8 p.m. Today I was mowing the lawn, so I started late. And I'm not going to like post like I'll be live at 7 p.m. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get on when I'm ready. And I appreciate you joining me. And I have a ton of videos on YouTube. I got like 600 videos on YouTube. And I don't know what else, but just you can follow me and hit like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. All right, thanks. So now I have to like check out of here. Okay, I think I can check out. Okay, bye.